Okay, we are live on Facebook, on Soldier One Studios Facebook page, Soldier Group, Todd Medina personal page. We're live on Zoom, and we're live at Soldier One Studios channel on YouTube. So thank you everybody for coming in. We got Garin Zina coming in today, young hotshot. No, he's a very cool dude. He's been on, and we're going to talk to him a little bit. But I'm going to put on the intro first, so we can allow people time to come in, and I can share through the network real quick. See you in a 1 minute and 22 seconds. What's happening, everybody? What's going on? Got Garin Zena in the house. I'm going to bring him up here so all you young ladies can go crazy over how handsome he is. He is single, I believe, so please send all inquiries to his mother, Michelle, or to Garin directly. Do not send them to me. All right, so let's get him up here. We'll stop playing around. All right, let's see. Here we go. Right on. That ought to do it.
Send the inquiries to me, not my mom.
She's got to screen him. You know she's going to screen him anyway.
She's going to say, Todd, you're giving me too much work.
Right. So what's happening, brother? What's going on? How's it going on your end of town?
What isn't happening? That's the real.
We're like what, 15 minutes apart, 15 miles apart, maybe.
Florida's been honestly, it's so strange because it's like the only state that's not. I don't know. It's confusing here in Florida. Like anywhere else, so say like North Carolina or just even Hawaii, it's completely different than the standard United States. I feel like Florida is like just where everything is crazy. So
Yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of strange here.
Yeah, I think Florida's like 4 states in one, kind of like Texas. I'm from Texas.
All the
but I heard, but over in Kauai, man, I talked to a friend of mine over in Kauai, and they have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. and then they have 1,200 National Guard that are distributed around the islands, the 6 islands, and on top of that, you can go to the beach. If you go over there on vacation, you got to be in quarantine for 14 days, and then if you go on the beach and you get caught, in number one, if you're supposed to be in quarantine, number two, if you're not fishing, walking, running, or surfing, you get a $600 fine. So I'm like,
it's crazy.
Yeah, man, none of this stuff makes sense, but that's all right. That's all right. It's all just a distraction and more distortion as we converge to one single timeline, because that's what's really happening. I'd like to see these conversations go mainstream, and we're doing whatever the hell we can to make that shit happen. So anyone that can help us do that, please share. Right on. So yeah, man. So what's it been like for you on a personal level? I mean, are you having any epiphanies or revelations or visitations or any cute
honestly, I think the collective Darknet. Oh, I'm sorry, you just completely, then it just started firing up again.
No, that's okay. I was going to say that, or you messed my joke up. I was going to say or that, or have you had any cute chicks climb through your window at night? I'm kidding. Oh, am I losing you? Oh, he's got a bad signal. You got a bad signal. He'll be back. You back? Oh, wait. Let me unmute you. Oh, shit.
Absolutely.
I think you got to... Hang on. Hang on. Don't touch anything.
Oh.
Okay, you're good.
There we go. Sorry, it just crashed and reset. What you were saying is, how is it personally affecting me? So
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. How you doing? What's happening with you?
So it's almost like a collective darknet of the soul in a way. So
Yeah.
everybody is being forced to see their shadow, whether they want to or not. And
Right
through
on.
doing so, we're able to integrate it and better have, I guess you'd say, we get to see what it is we want out of life more and what it is we want to create more of. And so it's like a funneling process that we're going through right now. And it can be uncomfortable, very uncomfortable sometimes.
Obviously. Yeah, a lot of people. Well, I don't want to say that. I got to be careful how we talk now. So, but I mean, well, because you still see you see a lot of extreme expressions. I would just say projection. Okay, and I agree with what you're saying. It doesn't matter who you are on the face of the earth. I don't give a shit who you are. Okay, the chickens are coming home to roost now. I mean, this is the end. This is it, and you can put whatever persona you want out there publicly, or to your family, or to your partner, or to your children, or to whoever. But the real shit's coming down. So it's time to go mano a mano with the universe, and you're right, it's a collective thing now. And as we know, when we face our shift and go through that brutal honesty of the soul and have that conversation with the universe, there's huge elevations and expansions after that.
Cutting out.
Yeah, I think it's your signal, man. That's okay.
Damn, so sorry, man.
No, that's all right, man. That's okay. You might want to get an Ethernet cord. That's what I do, so I can avoid those problems. But that's okay. We'll just keep it going. Yeah, he's got a funky signal.
Sorry, is there any better now?
A little bit. Yeah, you're all right. Just keep going. You talk.
Right.
And you talk, right. And if you freeze, I'll just start talking.
So most people, like you said, we have the facade, we have the image, we don't want to be vulnerable because vulnerable means we have to see our own faults. And what's happening right now is we're seeing all of our faults, shitty, good, bad, amazing, whatever it is. We see what we've done correctly, what we haven't done correctly. And through, I guess you'd say, a baseline analyzation of what's going on from the psychological level, we're being forced from the ego through the shadow into the self. And what that means for, I guess you say, the normal person is we're being subjected to the deep recess of our mind, the things we don't want to look at within our conscious mind. And so we're processing whether it's relationship traumas, physical traumas, emotional traumas. It's like a sponge being squeezed and it's all being forced like super fast through right now. Yeah. And it's a very fast tracked situation. Each day is like an entire lifetime. The amount of stuff we all experience, especially on the spiritual path, synchronicities and speeding up right now so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. And the synchronicities aren't just the numbers, right? I mean, the synchronicities are like somebody reached out to me that I don't know or I did know, and they asked me this question at the perfect time in the sequential aspect of the day. And it's like everything like a book, like you're reading this book and these things are happening and there's no coincidences.
No.
You know, he's probably not going to like that he froze in that position.
Find the guy inside. The wonder of synchronicity is not the gift it brings, but the seed of faith and trust in yourself it fortifies. That's what I love about it. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, what is that? I put up a meme. I went meme crazy yesterday on Cellogy. I try to put up a lot as much as I can in the group, not neglect it. And so there was one that was like, I don't care what people think, the universe speaks in synchronicity to me. So in other words, that's all the validation you need. It's not just, oh, wow, it's 11:11. It's more like, you know, what's happening? What conversation am I having? What did it happened to me like 4 times yesterday. Like I would think something and then all of a sudden there would be an answer. Like it'd be a light went on or a horn honked or, you know, my phone vibrated. you know, but you know, if you pay attention, it's all being communicated in a way you can understand.
It's like alchemy. Yesterday, my mom did the exact same thing. She wrote down the name of her sister. 3 seconds later, her sister called.
There you go.
3 seconds, like she wrote, and then boom. And it's, if you look at how what's happening collectively to humanity right now, not the situation, but
Yeah.
like the transition that we're in between the 2012, the Ascension, whatever you want to call it. It's alchemy. Yeah, similar to what Jeremy said in the Waves of Light conscious conference. He's saying that we're turning from lead to gold. We're being turned from
He's probably going to be.
carbon or silicon based conductive being. Electricity
Yeah.
is like a battery, you got the positive and the negative side. We're literally being oscillated back and forth to be able to hold more information. DNA contains light within it. That light is literally a storehouse and a bank, a wealth of all the memory of the entire universe and the potentials and the futures that are coming. We're being oscillated back and forth to be able to process more of that memory, to be able to unlock more of our potential for the future. And
Yeah.
it's a quantum leap right now.
Absolutely, it is. And you know, this past weekend seems to be a huge
Mm-hmm.
expansion. This last weekend, big time, man. I mean, like huge for. And I'm seeing people talking about it yesterday and today. We had a pretty solid transmission last night, and that was some of the info that came in. And I think in terms of what energy is available or what level it's available, but certainly some, as we understand, as it was conveyed to us, certainly some people have already engaged it, and that was identified as, you know, to try to put it in human terms, like a 20% increase in in the different aspects of the ascension, be it love, you know, wisdom, skill, ability, that type of thing. So it seems like this past weekend was huge. And tomorrow is the third 444 gateway of the month. So that ought to be pretty intense. Everybody buckle up. He looks like the stoic, the thinker in
I don't know if you
that's
can hear me right now. I heard you saying third, four, four, four
you're
gateway.
you're freezing. You're freezing back and forth.
Gosh, your
It's
internet
okay, man.
connection is unstable.
We'll keep.
So,
Well, you know what? Get you an Ethernet cord. You know, if you, because I know you're going to be broadcasting more and more. You know, get you an Ethernet cord and plug it into the modem. Not today,
that's
but I
the
mean,
best idea.
yeah.
So I saw an interesting comment. I'm still not understanding behaviors of some enlightened light workers from a person on your Facebook. That's very. So there's a trap when we enter spirituality that once we reach enlightenment, as which is usually just the opening of the crown chakra, you experiencing unity, the unified field, 0 point energy, whatever it is. Most people think that you're never supposed to be how you were before. You squash the ego, you cut all that out. That's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Every single person oscillates back and forth. And so I think people have the illusion that we're supposed to be perfect. We're not. Like you say, the human's the fucking hero.
Yeah.
Part of that human, they get down into the dirt and get nice and dirty. They gotta go through the shit and get drugged like through life sometimes. It's not about walking on water all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Well, and that's the thing, you know, when we go diving deep into that crap, you know, it's where the gold is. I mean, we're not here, you know, well, God, I don't want to sound like an a-hole, but we're not here chasing fluffy love and light. We're here chasing the shadow. We're chasing the shadow. This is like our this is like the dragons. Okay, it's like the dragons that guard the cave being your core, your soul, your gifts, your magic, your alchemy. And the dragons don't play. The dragons don't let you in just because you were born on a such and such day at such and such time with Pluto, you know, and aligned with the sun or whatever. They let you in when you have crossed enough thresholds to go into that particular cave of caves, you know, that you're contained, that contain you.
And sometimes, like you said, in the cave, you need to have just be at a certain threshold. there is cumulative momentum that starts, and once you start this process, you can't stop it. And for a lot of the process in the beginning is going back and forth and falling back into those traps, falling back into the same programs over and over and over again, and we all experience it. It's different for everybody else, but
Gosh,
I don't know why it keeps doing that.
we heard that F-bomb.
I say gosh. I say
I
gosh.
know. I heard that.
I was thinking it, but
Just messing with
it.
you.
I do get rather angry sometimes when how you said it's all love and light.
Yeah.
It sucks for some people. Like there's a lot of different. It's not just there's so much contrast on this place right now, and it's very important for us to understand that this through the suffering, opportunity is born, and it's
Absolutely.
not that we seek suffering. It's that suffering is something we experience within our mind if we see pain a certain way.
Yeah.
And people can look at it like lessons, or they can look at it like burdens. And I suggest looking at it like a lesson.
Yeah, well, and the thing is too, I think one of the things that's happening to people is they're not running from the shadow anymore. So whether the shadow comes in is a fear, you know, or comes in. Look, I discovered one. I didn't talk to Morgan about it. I probably won't. But this goes back like yesterday or maybe this morning. I can't remember. You know how the time is. So I had this thing flare up in me about this particular individual who's been a thorn in my ass for 3-4 years. And I've never responded but one time to him. That's it. And I said, you know, you handle your shift, I'll handle my shift, and we'll meet in the middle. And this person's gone. I almost want to say his fucking name. I really don't give a shit, because I think part of loving someone is giving them the straight up truth. But I think we're working that out. But anyway, the bottom line is they've agitated me, and I've been able to contain myself, and not that I'm Buddha or anything, but and so what happened was I got triggered two days ago. And it was just a typical maintenance, you know, soul maintenance, alignment maintenance, refinement maintenance, you know. And so I did my normal thing and took it in my heart. And then, yeah, it was either last night or this morning, I realized that there was a part of me, God, I'm going to throw up. I have to say this, that was jealous of this person. Not jealous because of any achievements, but jealous because of the level of infiltration into my space, which made me want to beat his fucking ass. You know what I mean? But we can't do that. We have to find this no charge place. And so I welcome and honor the gift that this person's given me. But yeah, you know, this stuff is.
You're speaking on jealousy, envy. If you look at the chakra system and overlay the 7 deadly sins, envy is what blocks the third eye.
No wonder I can't see shit.
and so I get jealousy sometimes. We're human. We all experience those different like negatives and positives every single day. And so it's interesting if you look at the chakra system as an overlay between the 7 deadly sins and the heavenly virtues, because it's like both poles. You could look at it at each side of the same coin. But how you were just saying about how you were reacting to the individual that triggered you, it's important to see that. No, I'm not saying that how you're saying it at all is wrong or anyway. This is just my take on how you just expressed that. It's like if a person were to throw mud at you, and then you were to get mad because all your clothes are dirty, and you could just clean it off. It's like the annoyance of having to clean it off in the first place. It's like you really just affected me in that way. Now I have to clean and realign myself. So I'm annoyed at you. But I don't know. I don't really know what I was trying to get at there that well. But my intuition was going off a little differently. But
no. Well, yeah, it's like you can't look. You can't damn. We've damned the shadow. We've run from the shadow. We denied it. We ignore it. We we just didn't face it. Now we know. It's like going to get a shot from the doctor. You can either be all tensed up in your muscles, or you can just, and I think this is the point that, anyone that's been through, which is probably everybody, the dark night of the soul, you get to that point where you just go, you know what, I'm done. Michael Mejia, this poet, was on yesterday afternoon, and he talked about his own journey, and he had a head injury, and it really debilitated him for over a year. And finally, at one point, he just said, I'm done. And it reminded me of when I was on the street, you know, and it didn't just happen once. It happened 2, 3, 4 times. And I was like, you know what? It's not that I'm quitting. It's not that I don't believe in myself. It's not that I just am done. I'm exhausted. I can't even think. I can't even feed my, you know, whatever the case was, mentally, emotionally, physically. But I think that's where I kind of feel like that's where we're heading collectively, is people are going to go, wait a minute, I can't go to the beach, but with you know, 2 miles of beachfront, but I can go to a grocery store that's 5,000 square feet with 100 people all touching the same shelves and the same checkout counter, or whatever the level of distortion is and contrast, like you're talking about. I think people are just gonna be like, you know what? I think I'll take my chances. You know, let's try something new. Let me try me, you know, kind of thing. Uh-oh.
It's almost like a mini death process.
It
What
is.
the illusion that was, or the version that was, goes, and then you got a rebirth, and then you have the new foundation after. What's so fascinating about what we're
He's all right. It's his energy. It's his energy. And see? All right. So let's see. We got a couple of comments here. Alina Sanchez. I've not seen you before. Welcome. She says, shamans, the original ancient healers, are waking up. And she says, forgive yourself and follow your own shamanic path. You are still a shaman. If you feel called to take a class, you are an ancient healer. Let's see. Shamanism and new technology will meld together for the spirit and the body. Yeah, obviously, you know, there's a lot of integration, particularly integration of polarities. That's a big part of our journey. And you know, and I can say in my own right, I'm having like more and more epiphanies and understandings that there are certain um, polarities, you know, in the spectrum that I've kind of forgotten about. What I'm trying to say is like the stuff that's real human, you know, like the stuff that's you know, like the stuff we want to forget about, the stuff that was perpetrated on us, or that we are in other cases where we were the victimizer. Just the extreme human things, right? The lust, the greed, the deadly sins, whatever you want to call it. We still have to integrate those things. There's nothing out there that we're not going to ultimately have to integrate, because everything's made of the same God substance. And it may be from this realm, from the perspective we have in this realm, that we think, oh, well, that's AI, or oh, that's a deadly sin, or whatever that is. No, I've been getting more and more of the last 10 days, and I keep using the example of love and lust, because I don't mean like the singular definition. I mean like the energetics of it. Lust being a very human and animalistic kind of thing, and of course love being that universal unconditional love. These things we converge, and when we converge those things with no charge, that's it's all right, Garin. You just do what you got to do, man. Are you here? Let me see if he's here. I didn't know he was back. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to keep on rolling like an improv comic. Yeah, you're good, man. We'll get you back in here. Let's see here. No worries at all. No worries at all. You're good. Start talking.
Okay, so what's so fascinating about this time we're going through right now is we can see how this has happened before. Every single time in the past when civilization has been reset, it's either the most recent one was when Tesla technology was all around the planet, and then lots of floods happened, and the country of Tartaria was hidden, and Edison won the electric race, and so everything changed.
Yeah.
And what's happening right now is the fourth industrial revolution. We're going through a complete transformation of all aspects of society, physically, mentally, emotionally, communications, everything. we're having digital identity, digital banking, digital everything. And in the next 1 to 3-ish years, even by the end of 2020, it's going to be unrecognizable to how it was. There's this interesting thing called strategic intelligence made by the World Economic Forum, which it's a pretty much like it shows a plan of what the billion-dollar corporations are planning to do. It's not negative or positive really, just because all things are just neutral. It shows that a lot of the fundamentals of society, the base, the thing like trades and a bunch of things that a lot of people are needed to do are going to be replaced by robots pretty soon. And so it's what's fascinating to me is when you think about where does spirituality come into this, and then you think what's going to happen with spirituality. It's going to evolve, and we're going to evolve in many, many, many amazing ways. Very excited to see how it pans out. What do you think about where we're headed?
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. And that's not taking a shot at anybody. I respect everybody's reality, and I don't know how it works. I don't know if there's 8 billion different trajectories, 8 billion different alternate realities. Because there's 8 billion people. I personally, if I had to bet on it, or maybe this is my trajectory, I believe that we're obviously in a very physical realm. Obviously, duality and the ego have been the greatest gifts. Maybe the universe, or risk, or gifts, all the same thing. The universe has ever taken. Knowing that it's going to succeed at some point in scaling up again. But I think that bilocation, teleportation, telepathy, telekinesis, dream state functioning in the physical realm, no more death, no sickness, perpetual longevity. I think this is what I see. I don't see the bricks and mortar. I don't see the robots as an example, like you were talking. Not the robots in particular, but I mean, I don't see the technology like that. I see the technology being, we are the technology.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what's going to happen. This is just my own opinion. And I think the trick is that the consciousness field has been fed with what it's been fed with, the projections it's been fed with. We bought into it, and that's what's perpetuated. And I think one by one, people are going to go, I'm done. Like a dry erase board, and just erase it. And I think when the first person really does that, then it's going to be like a wildfire, and it's literally going to be like the screen's gone. Like for instance, if you walk to the beach, you can go to the beach, and you're just standing there on the beach. And today we see some water and we see the sand, but if we're standing there, we're going to see into the water. We're going to see the energy of the dolphins and the fish and the whales and the water itself and the colors in the sky. I think it's going to be like dream state. That's Absolutely. Just my opinion.
I completely agree with that as well. How you're saying the whole bilocation dreams, it'll be like dream state is reality in a way. Mm-hmm. I've seen that slowly but surely. Like it's like two different worlds in the same place merging, and I completely agree with that. And how you're saying you don't think that the robots and things like that. I think down the line the robots won't be there, but for a little bit of time they will be, because a lot of stuff that was developed around Tesla times was scalar waves, which is fourth dimensional particle physics, and that whole quantum computing programmable matter type of technology, I guess you can call it. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's going to interface with our mind directly, not in like in an implant or like electronic anything like that, but we're going to, through what's happening right now, the human mind and consciousness will have a direct link to alter physical reality. And whether it's technologically based, spiritually based, energetic, whatever it is, it's happening. Yeah. And that is going to be able to, all the amazing architecture in the past, stuff we seem to not be able to build now, we're going to have thought form creation. We're going to have thought form Um, it'll be a form of projection of thought form. And then the question comes in, how does that work on a collective basis for objective reality? Because that's all based subjectively if you're projecting your own thought forms. So I think there would be almost like an internet of things, like they're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, and so it just gets so confusing, like you're saying, because it's 8 billion different realities,
Yeah.
and that's just where it kind of gets a little
Yeah. Well, I
yeah.
know it does. Okay, so back to what you said. That was a good point what you brought up. So they've already talked about it, and this is what we're told. Okay,
Mhm.
this is the information we're given, which is very limited. And somebody proved me wrong. Okay, because we're still waiting for a leader, a world leader on any platform with any balls at all, to step forth and say, "I'm not afraid to die." Because there is no death. And by the way, here's what's happening. Here's what happened with Tesla. Here's what's happened with secret space. Here's what happened with inner Earth and whatever. But what I'm getting at is one of the things that they have shared, they being whatever the hell you want to call them, is that what you're saying is true. Google just released something 4 or 5 days ago. And their goal, I think, I can't remember if it was 5 years or 10 years, is to have have the technology where the mind is connected to the device, which is no different than some of the aerospace stuff that's kind of leaked out, and also in regard to uh, extraterrestrial aircraft, where they've come across it, and it's basically an organic vehicle that is attached. There's no controls or anything. Pretty much, it's attached to the mind, to the brain of the pilot. Yeah. So that would make sense, because if you look at the internet, as Morgan told me a long time ago when I met her, it was like a big, light bulb. The internet is the highest physical manifestation of the ethers. So what would the next step be? Any
It's
device that
physical.
Yeah, any device. Yeah, because the internet is physical. I mean, it may still have waves, but if I send you a message on Messenger and an image with it, you're going to get a certain influx. My intentions are going to be in that. So if we have a device, I believe this today, and I think other people could probably attest to this. My device is an extension of me. Have you ever been in a certain frequency and your device turns off, or you want to go do something, you know, hastily send somebody a message and tell them to stick it, like the guy I was talking about earlier, and your phone goes out and won't let you do it,
I've
or
had
a
that,
weird, you know,
or phone by location. You ever had that?
how's that work? Phone
It's
bill.
when you have your phone on the charger in the morning and you go to the
Yes.
bathroom and you think
Yes.
about checking your phone and it's right next to you
Yes. I've had that
where you're
happen.
standing.
Yeah.
And you
I've had,
look at it and you're like, you're not supposed to be there.
yeah.
And then you look away and it's still there. And you're like,
Yeah. Yeah. Or you're laying, I remember I was laying on the couch and I'm like, my phone was across the room a couple years ago. And I'm like, man, I need to get my phone. And then I kind of dozed off and I woke up and there it was sitting next to me. Yeah. Yeah. That kind
glitches
of
in the
stuff.
matrix.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's happening so often. I recalled something that you said. So you were talking about how the phone's an extension of us. So DARPA is the agency that released the internet back in
Yeah.
mid late '90s. So I saw on their website recently they have a brain interface to the internet technology that they're working on, and so it's literally going to become more of an extension of us. And you tapped in on the idea of ETs a moment ago. So
Yeah.
people say that grays are us from the future, the version of us that merged with technology, so we lost our heart and lost the ability to reproduce. And so they say that they're coming back to try to fix it so we don't merge with technology and don't be all transhumanists. I think that's what's happening right now. Is it's the split between the transhumanist humans and the spiritual um, um, light body ascension humans.
Like
Those
organic,
that's
organic.
organic,
But
yes.
see, this is like the chicken and the egg, right? So it's like, okay, if like we'll just call it what, the universe, our creation. So create anything, like the old Christian saying, God doesn't make junk. So anything that's been produced by Mother Creation is either directly linked to her, or because it's made in the image and can then manifest, is indirectly linked through her creation. Okay, so in other words, there's never a broken link. So no matter, anyone that's in you, I know have, I mean, anyone that's traveled through dimensions and seen all different worlds and planets and just different beings and different energies, that's all the same stuff, man. It's all the same. To me, it is. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that to me, even if something is labeled as artificial, it's still the God substance. I think what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think what's happening for us now. Let's take the virus, the bad word, right? How many times have I brought the virus into my field and had a talk with it? I was very sick for 3 days. It looked like it had something to do with some energy work that I'd done on myself. But at the same time, many of the symptoms I had were very weird and strange. And I was very ill for 72 hours. It entered my mind. I didn't run from, I don't want to think about it. No, I said, okay, front and center, virus, front and center. Just me and you. It doesn't matter what the whole world says, doesn't matter anything. So we have a relationship. And in that relationship, I can bring equality and integration to that relationship. And from the human perspective, a transformation is then created. Love is in recognition of itself. And then it becomes an illuminated energy field that may contain my physical body, and other things in it. I mean, that's what I see happening. We're transformers. The Greys coming, the Anunnaki, the Pleiadian involvement, the whatever, whoever, and I believe there is a lot of involvement here. They're not the catalyst. We are. They're not the creator. We are. We are. And
They're the signpost.
Yeah. Right on.
So I wanted to read something that sums something up, because this
Absolutely.
real is but a dream floating in the far distance to be glimpsed by those strong enough to rise above cultural fitting in. Truth is damnation for those who cling to illusions. Rawness is the courage to be authentic and genuine to the T, unforgivingly and compassionately. So what you said about we're all part of the same thing, technological, organic, it's the exact same thing when it comes to ego, right, wrong, not spiritual people. It's literally a giant soup with a bunch of different ingredients, and all the ingredients think, hey, you're not like me, so you're not part of the actual soup. Only the soup is only good with this part. We're all the same thing, and people just gotta let go of all the bias and the prejudice. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
It's like people see one thing and experience it in a negative way. They expect it to be that way for the rest of their life. That's how powerful the shadow is, and that's how powerful what's happening right now is. We're able to be immersed within our filtering system and change the filter in which we filter things with, which causes us to inherently change how we see the world.
Yeah.
Through changing how we see the world, we're evolving our aspirations. And our aspirations will then seed new futures that we've all been intending for a while. All of this, stop the Federal Reserve, have cryptocurrency. That was a dream for a while, and now it's actually happening. What else is happening?
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because blessings are burdens and burdens are blessings.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that? Well, let's say we're at you said what was the fourth industrial revolution. Let's say we're at level 3, and at level 3, carbon emissions are good. Gasoline and all the the different energy vehicles, but at some point they become a burden. They become, let's just say, a negative. The universe is always expanding. It never flatlines, and that's what we are, and so it's like, if I look at the basic or the primary focuses in the community, I'm not even going to say the world, but the community. There's the QAnon movement, Trump. Let's just say Trump / QAnon America leading the way. That's an old narrative. Sorry. Okay. Maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe America is kind of a center point energetically and so on. Then you have, of course, the virus. And of course, tied into that is all the abhorrent, horrific things that have gone on and that have been hidden and all kind. There's all kinds of stuff involved there. Secret space and it's all that stuff, right? The thing is anything that pulls us off that middle ground, that no charge, the 0 point, the soul highway. It doesn't matter if it's a from your perspective or anyone's perspective, if it's light or dark, it doesn't matter because you're off center now. So if you are pro anything, you're separation. I'm sorry. This is where we're going. You talked about filters being replaced. I think we're getting to the point now where we're having no filters. And we're trying to adjust to that. Because if you have no filters, you're going to be walking down the street and there's going to be a dragon walking next to a leprechaun with a fairy flying over their head. We're talking about multidimensional reality taking on a physicality as we increase and enhance the visible light spectrum by virtue of the transformation we're going through within our own bodies, as you described earlier, carbon-based to light body.
So how you just phrased the letting go of the filter, I think that's exactly. But in order to get to that level, most people aren't ready to take the full jump, and so it's like that whole oscillation idea. The filters are slowly but surely dropping, so it's less filters, and so eventually the goal is to have no filter. But most people, if they had no filter, they'd go insane. Like if you saw all you see with your third eye and you didn't know anything about spirits and entities, and all of a sudden you see some shadow people walking around, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I agree with you.
And how you're saying if you're for anything, then you're for separation. Separation.
Yeah.
Separation takes so many different forms, so many, and I'm starting to think that even language is separation. That's why the whole telepathy, because I felt that for a while. I thought, damn, I wish that we were able to just live without language, because language gives so much confusion for people, and that's what we're transcending right now is language.
Especially go ahead, but I was just gonna say, especially talking to you is one thing, because I can hear the tonality of your voice and say your body language. But that's why texting and comments on posts and messages don't work. It's the worst thing in the world. You might as well not even message. You might as well not even exchange messages, because there's no way to have anything close to even a majority of understanding. But yeah, you're right. I'm with you.
It's like looking at the shell. All you see is the shell, not the seed. And there's something I'm called to read. My intuition is like as Nikola Tesla says, we're transmitters and receivers. But every single thought, action, movement, every single decision we make is all drawn to us by our intuition, and we live through intuition. That's my belief.
Yeah.
And okay, I can't find it. Whatever. But I'm just happy to be alive this time, because this is, I think, the most unique time in human history. Everybody says that, but we could either say, I'm going to let go of all this and just forget about all the spiritual stuff and be a completely normal person, which is impossible after you start. And then you try and you're like, oh shit, I'm living a lie. You come back and then you're here and you go deeper than you ever went before. Might even touch on the occult stuff. And then you're like, okay, no, I've had too much. You come back and then you're back here. And you're just thinking, what do I do? This crazy situation in the world's happening. What do I do? I can say the biggest, most important thing you will ever do in your life is be present to yourself. Just shut off everything. No noise, no listening, no, just be present and actually see yourself for what you are and see that you're the very grounded being of all things. And so is everybody else, and so is every other thing. And where we're headed is a lot more dynamic, a lot more fruitful. Not in the item sense, but fruitful in the sense that creation divided itself to experience more of creation.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot more creation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the other thing that's sinking in, it only makes sense. All right. We've been talking about the veils are lifting, new earth is coming. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. I'm sorry, but we're already here, people. We're already here. If you took, for example, you look, if a broadcast can be made to every cell phone and internet, the like the national emergency, whatever they use, right? That they people have said, oh, they're gonna lock us down and they're gonna give us 8 hours of military tribunal broadcasting, and everyone's gonna see it, or everyone's gonna get a text on their phone.
And then the aliens are coming, and they're all gonna make us fly away on
Well,
planes.
well, what I mean is, if you had, if there is the reality that everybody can be communicated to at the same time, then that holds true energetically first. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, if everybody got the same message, which I think is coming at the same time, let's say everybody said, you know what, let's go outside, let's walk to the end of our front yard, stand on the street corner, everybody put their hands in the air and say, I do not comply, and I am not rebelling, but I do not accept this narrative, right? Something would happen from that choice made from the individual, the center of the universe, which each and every one of us are. I think we're getting to this point. We don't really understand it. We can't really talk about it. We can't really explain it. But I think each one of us is making or I'm going to say making a series of decisions every day to choose ourselves. Some of us are more conscious of it than others. Those of us who are more conscious of it, they are affecting others consciously with intention, not just to align themselves, but to align other people, the world, the realm, the universe, and so on.
How you were saying about communicate, how if we were all able to have the same message communicated to us, what if there is a subtle message being communicated to us? It has to do with the C word, the corona. This is the mass coronation. What if it's the coronation of us, and we're all being communicated the message of, this is the time for you to receive your crown as creator being, and we're all that. And what if we were given the idea that society is split into all those different things, but what if back in history we used to see humanity as one being, not many different beings?
Yeah.
And I found the quote I was looking for. It's beautiful. Keep an eye out for synchronicity and serendipity. Brother and sister they are. With them, fulfilled desire is heralded. Gaze upon reality with a childlike curiosity, and behold, what you've been seeking is right under your nose.
Isn't that the truth? Morgan and I were talking yesterday, and that came up, and I think that's who it was. It may have been someone I'd had to the show with, but it's right in front of our nose. And I love what you said about the corona thing. But there are no coincidences. So did somebody? Yeah. So did somebody or bodies intentionally utilize that word or not? It doesn't even matter. The bottom line is, look, Morgan and I have received, and I know other people have too, over the last couple of years, that we're kind of like walking into a celebration, a coronation, a coronation, a universal coronation. Oh my God, you guys did it, kind of thing. And so, yeah, I think that's exactly how the universe communicates and operates to me. It's paradoxical, and especially in this realm where you have duality, So I think that's
we're coming into our last few minutes. Do you have? Do you know about Tartaria?
About what? Oh yeah,
Tartaria. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll break that down real quick for the people. Long story short, there was a really big country that used to be an empire that was kind of like a one world government in the past. There was a giant cataclysm, and we inherited that society's architecture. What's happening right now is we're lifting the veil from all of the cataclysms that have put us into our lower state. And through being able to access, I guess you'd call it memory, but it's more like accessing probability because of the whole quantum consciousness, intuition, all being activated within everybody right now. What it's doing is we're going back into, as people call it, the golden age. It's not that we're going to be all frolicking around in rainbows and having a wonderful time. It's that we're literally golden like crowns. We have that center just, and so it's like the sun. Whatever you look at it, you can't see what's beyond it. So much is going to change when it hits, but until it hits, we have no way of conceiving what it is. And that's what the shift is. So handle your own shift.
That's right. Handle your shift. Handle your shift. MF.
Get your shift together.
Well, you know, and what's really, you know, I joke around a lot, but I observe a lot. We all do. And what I'm seeing is in first and foremost in myself. Okay. It's the death. It's the resistance coming from me, the ego, in fear of losing my identity, because what do I have left? The truth is the ego is me. So it's not going to die. Now, energetically, it's going to lose power and so on and so on and so on. But what I'm seeing out there is our projections, fear-based projections by people all over the spectrum, including myself, you know, and whether they're holding on to a narrative, oh, this has got to be true, or they're paralyzed by fear because of a fear-based programming such as the corona or whatever. But at the same time, what I'm seeing on a collective level, people are not freaking out, and that encourages me a lot, because I really believe that we've done a hell of a job as a collective human hybrid species, you know, and I think we've done far better than we could even imagine, and because of that, we're actually way ahead of the game, and you know, I think we've done a great job. I don't see people freaking out. There were more protests leading up to this whole event at the beginning of this year, you know, Hong Kong, Europe, the Yellow Jackets and all that, by far, than there is right now. You hear about a few things here and there, but no. And I don't think it's, yeah.
It was used to stop the protests in Hong Kong. It's all Hegelian dialectic. It's problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Power, but 3 seconds.
People figuring it out.
I don't know what plate. I can't hear you.
That's okay, man. We're hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. Well, we're about done. We're gonna have a show in what, 19? You there?
Hey, sorry.
It's okay. Hey, I want to do more collaboration. You're back. You're off again. So we're gonna have a.
Hear you though.
Okay, so we're gonna do more. I want to do more collaborations with you. If you're interested, get you an Ethernet cord.
I'd love to, brother. I do need to get an Ethernet cord. It's so
because the thing about the wireless, you can have great wireless, and then sometimes sometimes it's just not, you know, it's not going to work. But anyway, but yeah. So everybody, Garin's got a YouTube channel. He does some cool shit. You might want to check that out. What's that under? Is it under your name?
It's under Garin Zina on YouTube. Garin Zina, GARINZINA. You can see it on the Zoom chat as well as the Facebook Live. I'll drop it down in the comment section in the Facebook Live.
Yeah. Put it on my personal page. That's where most of the people are at. There's
Good
over
talking
100
to you.
people on the show. Thank you everybody for coming. And you
Thank
might
you
want to
everybody
put it,
for coming.
yeah, Garin, you might want to put it in the comments on YouTube on Soldier One Studios channel as well. All right.
Awesome.
We'll be back in 15, 18 minutes with a special show, and I'll let y'all figure it out.
Y'all have a fantastic time. Stay safe, collective. Love y'all.
See you later, brother. Take care, man.